My wife brought her secret crush on our family trip and left me stranded at home. One call shattered everything between us for 6 long years. I single-handedly sustained every expense of Emily Carter's entire family. I covered their mortgage installments in full. I bore every medical bill accumulated by her kin. I settled all trivial daily expenditures without a word of complaint. I even burned countless midnight hours constructing the complete intelligent scheduling technical framework for Emily's military logistics promotion project. I surrendered the finished blueprint to her project team free of charge. I booked an extravagant getaway to Maui as a congratulatory gift for her hard-earned promotion. I reserved a private oceanfront villa bathed in sea breeze. I arranged a dedicated chauffeur for airport pickups and transfers. I hired an exclusive private chef to craft bespoke island feasts. I purchased full premium VIP packages for every local coastal activity. I footed the bill for round-trip first-class airfare for the whole party. I never once demanded reciprocal favors in return. All I wished for was to watch her savor the glory of her well-deserved advancement. On the day we departed for Hawaii, warm golden sunlight streamed through the airport's floor-to-ceiling glass walls. I clutched my personal first-class boarding pass, lingering by the exclusive boarding gate. Moments later, Emily strode toward me, flanked by her parents and younger brother. Mason Reed, her workplace colleague, walked closely at her side. I raised a hand to greet them gently. Emily brushed straight past my figure, paying me no heed. She extended my boarding pass to the ground service agent behind the counter. "Please reassign this first-class seat to Mason Reed," she stated flatly. The soft smile froze rigidly upon my lips. I stepped forward hurriedly and caught hold of her wrist, lowering my tone to preserve our dignity amid the crowd. "Emily, I paid for this seat out of my own pocket. You never consulted me before acting. You have no right to gift my seat to another." She wrenched her arm free from my grasp, her features twisted with unmasked exasperation, as if my protest were utterly unreasonable. "Mason injured his lumbar vertebrae during military training. Economy seats will torment his back. You are in perfect health, so a single flight and coach is hardly any hardship. Why make a fuss? Hardship for one flight? Every detail of this vacation, airfare, villa, all amenities, was funded solely by me. This seat is mine, and you are not authorized to make such decisions on my behalf." My straightforward objection instantly triggered a unified onslaught from her entire family. Her mother stepped forward first, her tone heavy with coercive pressure. "Nathan, you run a thriving large enterprise. Do not haggle over a mere plain seat. Emily has only just attained the rank of major. Show generosity to uphold her standing." Her brother folded his arms across his chest and let out a mocking scoff. "Brother-in-law, you blow this trivial matter far out of proportion. Where is your breadth of mind?" Her father echoed his wife and son's accusations in turn. "Do not stage an embarrassing public scene. We travel together as one family. Cease nitpicking over petty costs." Mason lingered off to one side. He feigned polite refusal, yet his feet never shifted backward an inch. He hunched slightly, putting on the guise of a man crippled by injury. "Mr. Brooks, I am truly apologetic for imposing on you. Thank you for yielding for my sake." His courteous veneer was paper-thin and false. A flicker of undisguised triumph glinted deep within his eyes. Every waiting passenger in the vicinity craned their necks to watch our dispute unfold. For 6 years, I had bankrolled their livelihoods and engineered core technology to pave the path for my wife's career ascent. Now, merely because I refused to surrender a possession I had purchased, everyone labeled me miserly and narrow-minded. Emily's brows knit tightly together with impatience. "Nathan, drop this childish tantrum. You are delaying all of us, letting strangers witness our humiliating quarrel." 6 years of swallowed grievances and silent forbearance surged forth and crashed over me in that instant. I finally saw the unvarnished truth clear as day. This marriage had never been a journey of mutual support and devotion. It was nothing but a one-sided drain. As I exhausted myself endlessly to satisfy the demands of others, they had long grown accustomed to my unceasing sacrifices. They regarded every selfless offering I made as an entitlement owed to them. The second I declined to comply, all blame fell squarely upon my shoulders. "I will not give up this seat," I declared, my voice steady and unwavering. "All air tickets, the villa, every travel privilege belong to me. No person may alter these arrangements without my explicit consent." Embarrassment flushed across Emily's cheeks, and she lowered her voice, anger simmering beneath her words. "Must you clash with me openly in public? All for a single airline seat? You bring shame upon me and my coworker alike. The true breach of decency lies with you. Disposing of my private property without a single word of consultation. This is meant to be a joyous celebratory trip. Why must you ruin it for everyone? Her mother persisted, pressing me relentlessly. I owe no such favor to any of you. Her brother sneered once more. Would you really abandon the entire Hawaii trip over this trivial conflict? That offhand remark jolted a sober realization through my mind. Why should I journey to a vacation filled with people who took my kindness for granted and disrespected my boundaries without remorse? Mason stoked the flames of discord further. Major Carter, let us abandon this matter. I shall endure economy class willingly. Do not let our dispute fracture your marriage. His words sounded like a compromising compromise. Yet his stance never wavered. Rooted firmly where he stood, Emily fell prey to his manipulative pretense at once. She turned directly to the ground agent and issued her command. Process boarding for everyone else. Exclude Nathan Brooks from the passenger manifest. The agent hesitated, casting a hesitant glance in my direction. Sir, should you forfeit boarding, all travel packages reserved under your name will be fully revoked. A flood of searing memories welled up inside my chest. Sleepless nights spent hunched over lines of code. Every invoice I settled to erase the family's accumulated debts. I forfeit boarding, I stated firmly. I pulled out my mobile phone and dialed my assistant without delay. Terminate every single Maui reservation immediately. Cancel the villa lease. Dismiss the dedicated chauffeur and private chef. Scrap all VIP activity bookings. Fulfill all contractual cancellation penalties without hesitation. Show leniency to no one. My assistant responded with crisp efficiency. Understood. Sir, I shall execute this at once. Emily's pupils dilated sharply, her prior arrogance crumbling away completely. Nathan, do you comprehend the gravity of your actions? My entire family's celebratory getaway hangs in the balance. They may still board this flight as planned, yet the villa, private transfers, every luxury perk awaiting them upon landing shall vanish entirely. I purchased every service with my own funds, and I reserve the absolute right to cancel them. You act recklessly and unreasonably. You have ruined a whole family's holiday merely over a seat. Her father roared, his face darkening with rage. The chaos began the moment your daughter trampled all my personal boundaries. The boarding announcement crackled across the airport's loudspeakers. Flight attendants urged all passengers to proceed down the jet bridge without delay. Emily could no longer coerce me into submission before a crowd of onlookers. She shot me a venomous glare. Sharp and unforgiving, she led her parents, brother, and Mason toward the boarding gate without a backward glance. As they brushed past my side, her brother spat a venomous warning. You will live to regret this choice. I stood before the floor-to-ceiling glass partition. I watched their silhouettes fade into the distant jet bridge. The low, rumbling roar of aircraft engines hummed faintly through the transparent pane. I squeezed the now worthless first-class boarding pass tightly in my palm. I felt no wild, explosive rage surging within me. Only a hollow emptiness lingered, as though a crushing weight I had borne for 6 years had at last slipped from my shoulders. Yet deep in my heart, I knew this conflict would not vanish the moment the plane lifted off the tarmac. Once the aircraft departed, I did not linger aimlessly within the airport terminal. I drove straight back to my corporate office overlooking the city. The sprawling urban skyline unfolded beneath my office window. I could not focus my attention on any routine business affairs. The humiliating confrontation at the boarding gate replayed endlessly in my thoughts. My assistant knocked gently and stepped into the office, clutching a tablet displaying finalized cancellation receipts. Sir, all ground arrangements in Maui have been fully terminated. The villa has released our reservation. All contracted drivers, chefs and activity vendors have been notified of termination. We cannot void the issued air tickets, so Emily's party will still arrive on Maui's shores. Local partners have reached out to inform me that no shuttle service or household staff will be present to greet them at the arrivals hall. I gave a single solemn nod. I possessed no power to reverse printed flight tickets, but every luxury amenity I had financed for their stay was mine to reclaim and withdraw. Minutes later, my mobile phone began vibrating nonstop. Emily, her mother, and her brother bombarded me with repeated calls. I muted all incoming alerts and ignored every attempt to reach me. Text messages flooded my screen one after another, each steeped in accusation and grievance. Nathan, what madness has seized you? We disembarked to find no transfer vehicle awaiting us. The villa steward informed us all reservations were cancelled. My entire family lingers stranded at the airport, burdened with heavy luggage. Why would you subject us to this? Emily, your heart is cold and cruel. You left two elderly elders stranded on foreign soil solely over a dispute about a seat. Emily has only just received her promotion. You deliberately set out to humiliate her. Emily's mother, restore all bookings instantly. We shall not let this slight pass unaddressed. Emily's brother. I scrolled through the full catalogue of messages, yet refrained from drafting a reply for the time being. My assistant forwarded a live situational update from Maui. The group emerged from the arrivals hall, anticipating a sleek black town car and a waiting personal steward. No soul appeared to welcome them. They dialed every vendor contact number they possessed. Every service provider reiterated that the paying client had revoked all bookings. Peak tourist season engulfed the island at that moment. Every upscale resort and oceanfront hotel operated at full occupancy. They dragged cumbersome suitcases across the airport vicinity for endless hours. They were ultimately forced to overpay exorbitant sums for cramped, shabby rooms within a budget chain motel. No sweeping ocean vistas greeted them outside their windows. No bespoke attentive services awaited their convenience. They could only dine on cheap street-side fast food to sate their hunger. The lavish celebratory retreat intended to honor Emily's milestone promotion devolved into a miserable, fraught overseas ordeal. Several hours slipped by. Emily sent a lengthy message, shifting between veiled threats and soft, wheedling pleas. Not once did she acknowledge her error in arbitrarily giving away my reserved seat. She framed every hardship they endured as the product of my petty retaliation. Even if I mishandled the seat arrangement thoughtlessly, you had no right to annihilate our entire vacation. Mason's back injury still plagues him, and the elderly relatives are worn thin from lengthy travel, confined to shoddy motel quarters. Is this the scene you wish to witness? Where lies your integrity as a husband? Reading those words sent a cold chill winding through my heart. In her skewed perspective, my wealth and lifelong labors existed solely to cater to her and every person she brought into our orbit. The instant I reclaimed what rightfully belonged to me, I became petty, vengeful, and ungenerous. I typed a concise, unyielding reply. Every amenity on this trip was purchased with my capital, granting me full authority to terminate services. This predicament arose because you disposed of my personal property without prior consent. The message marked as read within a split second. She never sent another word afterward. I had assumed the conflict would end there, reduced to a messy domestic spat between spouses. Yet that very night, the head of my company's cybersecurity team burst into my office, his countenance grave with alarm. Mr. Brooks, our servers have triggered a critical security alert. An authorized internal account is downloading massive volumes of project source code and core technical documentation, alongside numerous unauthorized file alterations. We have traced the IP address back to the Military Logistics Project Collaboration Portal. My nerves coiled taut in an instant. This very logistics project was the one for which I had donated my proprietary technology free of charge, the innovation that secured Emily's coveted promotion. Our marital discord had spilled over to threaten my company's irreplaceable intellectual core. The quarrel over a single airline seat was merely the minuscule tip of a massive, hidden iceberg. A vast, insidious scheme lay concealed beneath the surface, one I had never once suspected existed. At 2 o'clock in the early hours of the morning, the technical team laid a comprehensive investigation report across my desk. Immutable server timestamps displayed the brutal, unvarnished truth upon the monitor before me. I spent 2 full years independently developing the complete intelligent scheduling source code for Habigate technology. I opened full project access purely out of trust in my wife, eager to smooth the path of her professional advancement. I could never have foreseen someone exploiting that trust to pilfer all my original research and creations. The log records constituted irrefutable, ironclad evidence. For nearly an entire year, the account linked to the Military Collaboration Portal repeatedly downloaded bulk batches of source code. They tweaked a handful of trivial, irrelevant parameters and altered the listed original developer's name to Mason's own. Mason Reed's user ID was bound to every single illicit download and unauthorized edit log. He did not merely glance casually at my confidential files. He systematically stole my original technological breakthroughs. He revised minor segments to pad his personal promotion resume with stolen merit. Beyond this theft, he abused the supplier access my corporation had granted the military project. He submitted falsified supply requests and claimed special project resources under the pretense of official military work. He squandered the complete supplier network I had painstakingly built from the ground up. Yet the most piercing revelation remained to unfold. Every time Mason logged in to execute these high-risk, unauthorized operations, Emily's major-level work account logged on simultaneously. At the exact identical timestamp, she held the highest clearance authority for the entirety of the project. She witnessed every illicit action he committed. She never blocked his access permissions. She never filed an official investigative report. She never held him accountable for his violations. All those glowing military commendations lauding groundbreaking technical innovation on Emily's project stemmed entirely from my independent research. 6 years of unrestrained financial and emotional devotion had been reduced to a mere stepping stone for her and Mason to climb the military ranks. My legal and technical teams immediately secured every shred of admissible evidence: download timestamps, IP login trails, side-by-side source code comparison files, falsified supplier expenditure records, all submitted to a third-party institution for official notarization and encrypted preservation. Dawn broke over the city skyline, and Emily dialed my number once again. This time she discarded her fiery anger entirely, forcing her voice to sound weary and wounded. "Nathan, let us put an end to this strife. My parents cannot endure these squalid motel rooms any longer. Reverse your cancellations so we may resume our trip. We can discuss all grievances thoroughly once we return home." Her shallow offer of reconciliation rang hollow and absurd to my ears. She still refused to acknowledge that she had committed any substantial wrongdoing whatsoever. "There remains nothing left to discuss," I responded calmly. "Examine your promotion project resume closely. Every standout technical breakthrough cited within it was my original creation." She cut me off in a flustered panic, rushing to deny all accusations. "The entire team collaborated on this project collectively. Are you fabricating slander against Mason and me merely because our vacation soured?" She persisted in weaving lies to cover up her complicity in deception. Tangible, unalterable proof already stood against them. Empty verbal denials carried no weight whatsoever. I terminated the call without further conversation. Mason well understood that should the technology theft case proceed to a military compliance hearing, his military career would be annihilated beyond repair. He would additionally face crippling civil financial restitution charges. Rather than apologize and cease his illegal conduct, he devised a plot to twist the entire affair into a trivial domestic marital dispute. He hoped this false narrative would obscure his criminal misconduct as a military officer. Shortly afterward, my corporate inbox received several meticulously forged internal emails. The counterfeit messages mimicked the writing style of my company's staff. They fabricated claims that I wielded my wealth to control my wife and deliberately sabotaged military projects out of petty resentment. Simultaneously, Mason incited Emily's entire family, stranded in Maui, to act against me. Her mother mass-mailed accusatory messages to all my business associates and personal acquaintances. She propagated rumors alleging I controlled all household finances and manipulated Emily through my wealth. Her brother circulated malicious gossip across his social circles. He painted me as a paranoid husband who subjected his wife to cruel emotional neglect. They deliberately omitted every detail concerning the stolen proprietary technology. They pushed one single fabricated narrative to every contact they possessed. A wealthy magnate threw a childish fit over a single plane seat and retaliated viciously against his military spouse. Not long after, Emily sent a video call request. The shabby, cramped motel room formed the backdrop of her camera frame. Mason remained hidden out of the lens's view. He stood just beyond the camera's field of vision, continuously signaling her with subtle eye movements to dictate her lines. "Nathan, cease inflicting mutual harm upon each other. Even if our marriage lies in ruins, you ought not exploit your corporate resources to frame Mason falsely. He is merely a soldier wounded in training. Why would you seek to destroy his life entirely?" Emily's eyes glistened with manufactured sorrow. She put on a convincing performance, as an innocent victim wronged by my cruelty. Server timestamps, source code comparisons, falsified supply expense records, all bear permanent, uneditable digital markers. These are not baseless conjectures born of my imagination. They are merely system glitches generating erroneous logs. Multiple team members share the project portal's login credentials. Anomalous access records arise constantly. You cannot hold Mason solely responsible for every irregularity. She rushed to defend him frantically. Many personnel share portal access. Yet only Mason's user ID altered creator attributions and downloaded complete core source code in bulk quantities. Your major authority account logged online during every single unauthorized operation. You knew precisely what he was doing all along. This single sentence stripped away every layer of her fabricated excuses. Emily instinctively averted her gaze from the camera lens. I was preoccupied managing other project assignments. I failed to monitor back-end activity closely. Mason's shoulder slipped halfway into the camera's frame. He assumed a sincere, helpless demeanor meant to sway my judgment. Mr. Brooks, I hold the intellectual property of your company in full respect. Retrieving those documents constituted standard official project work. Word has already spread that you retaliate against military personnel over a domestic quarrel. Should this advance to a compliance hearing, your company's military partnership contracts will suffer irreversible damage. We ought to settle this matter privately instead. Though his words sounded like impartial mediation, they concealed an unvarnished threat. He intended to hold my corporation's military collaborations hostage, coercing me to withdraw all formal charges. Settle this? Allow you to continue stealing my proprietary technology to advance your careers? That is no compromise I shall ever accept. I ended the video call immediately. My legal team forwarded an update. Military compliance officials had formally accepted my filed report. A hearing date had been officially scheduled. Mason's forged defamatory emails and smear campaign became additional corroborating evidence proving his obstruction of an official investigation. I compiled a complete encrypted archive of evidence to submit for the hearing proceedings. Emily stood at a critical crossroads in that moment. She could persist in shielding Mason, dragging her own military career down into ruin alongside his. Or she could confess the full unvarnished truth, shattering the prestigious professional reputation she had spent years cultivating. I had watched her enable this theft for an entire year without protest. I harbored little hope she would choose honesty over self-preservation. The closed-door military compliance hearing commenced in solemn gravity. A lengthy conference table seated investigators, military legal counsel, and project supervisors lining both sides of the room. Mason occupied the witness chair, calm and composed, embodying the image of an innocent man falsely accused. Emily sat among the observers. The transoceanic journey and days trapped in squalid lodgings had drained all color from her cheeks. The sharp, confident bearing she carried as a major had faded completely away. I attended as the aggrieved technology partner and the official complainant, bearing a full binder of notarized evidentiary documents. Moments before the hearing opened, Mason brushed past my seat, lowering his voice so only my ears could catch his words. Brooks, you may still retract all accusations at this moment. Should the technology theft charges be validated, my military career will be erased, and Emily shall forfeit her rank and every future advancement. Can you bear the weight of destroying your own wife? He remained convinced I would relent to spare the woman I had loved for 6 years. I offered him no verbal response. Walking directly to my assigned seat, the hearing officially commenced. Investigators questioned Mason first, probing into account access logs and source code modifications. Mason answered every query with polished fluency. He categorized every suspicious unauthorized action as routine official business protocol. I downloaded source code to complete military system optimization tasks. Alterations to document creator labels stemmed from filing errors within our team's archiving workflow. I never appropriated external technology to inflate my promotion application. Mr. Brooks's entire complaint stems from resentment born of our marital strife. He skillfully redirected the entirety of the case back to a trivial private husband-wife conflict. He sought to mislead every investigator assembled within the room. The lead investigator turned toward me. Mr. Brooks, kindly present corroborating evidence to substantiate all allegations you have levied. My corporate lawyer passed each bound volume of evidence forward in sequence. A projector screen displayed every piece of proof line by line for all to witness. Unchangeable server timestamps documented Mason's repeated bulk downloads of full source code without mandatory official approval. Split-screen displays juxtaposed my original source code against the project documents Mason had rebranded under his own name. The staggering overlap between the two files was undeniable and irrefutable. Line-item supplier records laid bare every falsified resource claim he had submitted by exploiting my company's supply network. Every document bore official third-party technical notarization as validation. A profound silence descended over the conference room. Investigators leafed through the binders, their expressions heavy with sober gravity. Mason's collected composure crumbled fragment by fragment. He rubbed his fingers repeatedly across the table surface to mask his mounting panic. Even if files were downloaded under my account, that does not confirm I operated it. Multiple staff share team login credentials. My account could have been compromised by an outside party. Mason scrambled to grasp any loophole to exonerate himself. The projector shifted to display the trace report for the forged defamatory emails. The counterfeit messages crafted to malign Mr. Brooks originated from the MAC address of Mason Reed's official work laptop. He composed these false communications immediately following the airline seat dispute to distort the fundamental nature of this official investigation. This final piece of conclusive evidence shattered his fabricated narrative of being targeted over a personal domestic dispute. The lead investigator shifted his attention to Emily, who had maintained unbroken silence throughout the proceedings. Major Carter, your personal access account logged online synchronously with every unauthorized file retrieval conducted by Mason throughout the project's timeline. As the lead project supervisor, were you cognizant of all these rule-violating actions? Speak the full truth before this panel. Every pair of eyes within the room locked intently upon Emily. Two paths still stretched before her. She could persist in deception and continue protecting Mason to safeguard her military rank and professional prospects. Or she could confess everything, demolishing the flawless public professional image she had strived relentlessly to build. Mason twisted his head sharply toward her. He shot her a sharp, warning glare, urging her to deny every accusation to the very end. Emily squeezed her hands so tightly her knuckles blanched stark white. Her lips trembled without cease. The miserable days confined to Maui's cheap motel. The brutal airport confrontation. 6 years of unreserved devotion from me. Mason's constant manipulative goading. All these opposing forces waged war within her heart. Not a single word broke the heavy silence filling the conference room. Every soul present awaited her verdict. After a long, weighty pause, she slowly lifted her head. Her gaze settled unwaveringly upon my figure. I knew everything. Those 3 quiet words hung suspended in the air. Mason's body jolted violently within his chair. Utter shock washed over his features entirely. Major Carter, confirm you fully comprehend all irreversible consequences your testimony shall bring forth. The hearing chair cautioned her sternly. I grasp every potential outcome completely. Over the past year, Mason downloaded core source code belonging to my husband's company on countless occasions. He altered the listed developer's name to incorporate these works into project reports and bolster his resume. I witnessed every access log through my top-tier clearance authority. I chose to conceal all wrongdoing and allow his violations to persist unchecked. Mason shouted to cut her off mid-sentence. Emily, cease uttering these falsehoods. She ignored his desperate attempts to silence her. She continued speaking, bearing all her hollow vanity and cowardice without reservation. I craved the prestige and social standing conferred by the rank of major. This stolen technology elevated our project's evaluation scores, cementing my promotion's approval. I feared the revelation of this theft would lower our project's rating and leave an indelible stain upon my official record. Therefore, I turned a blind eye. I permitted him to pilfer proprietary technology and abuse our supplier resource channels without restraint. I did not merely sympathize with Mason's back injury when I surrendered Nathan's first-class seat at the airport. Mason had urged me to do so to forge a tighter collaborative alliance between us within the project team. I prioritized maintaining harmonious coworker relations. I refused to stand up for Nathan's feelings, even allowing my entire family to mock and belittle him as petty before strangers. She wove every thread of conflict into a cohesive narrative. The seat dispute, the technology theft, the year-long cover-up and complicity. Upon landing in Maui, Mason persuaded my parents and brother to circulate malicious rumors. They told every acquaintance that Nathan controlled the family finances and targeted military staff out of vindictiveness. Mason mentioned drafting those forged slanderous emails to me, yet I never intervened to stop him. I clung to a fragile hope that public pressure would coerce Nathan to drop all charges and settle this matter privately. Once she finished recounting the full, unvarnished truth, she exhaled a long, weary breath. She appeared lighter, as though a heavy secret she had borne for an entire year had fallen away from her shoulders. Weariness and unsparing guilt clouded her eyes. Nathan, for 6 years, I leaned entirely upon you to support my family and advance my career without limitation. Vanity blinded my judgment, and I took your boundless kindness for granted time and time again. The bulk of fault rests squarely upon my shoulders. I shall accept every disciplinary punishment the military deems fit to impose. Tangible physical evidence, paired with her live sworn testimony before the panel, fully validated Mason's crimes: theft of proprietary corporate technology and fabrication of evidence to obstruct an official government investigation. The hearing recessed for a brief interlude. Uniformed officers escorted Mason out of the room for further intensive questioning. Upon exiting the conference chamber, Emily walked to my side. She did not weep and beg for reconciliation, nor spew words of bitter resentment. I shall arrange all divorce paperwork without delay. I regarded her silently. Most of the resentment smoldering within my heart had long faded away, yet the tender affection we once shared lay shattered beyond any possibility of mending. The official ruling from the hearing panel arrived shortly thereafter. The military stripped Mason Reed of his military commission and expelled him from service entirely. His military career was terminated irrevocably. Habigate Technology simultaneously filed an official civil lawsuit against him. We demanded full financial restitution for all losses incurred through stolen proprietary technology and abused supplier resource networks. Court proceedings and crippling damage awards awaited him in the days ahead. Emily retained her rank of major. Nevertheless, every project commendation earned through stolen technology was fully revoked. A formal disciplinary notation was permanently affixed to her military personnel file. She was barred indefinitely from participation in all high-priority core military projects. No avenue remained open for further advancement within her military career. She submitted no appeals against the verdict. She accepted every punishment without resistance or complaint. 1 week later, we met at a law firm's consultation chamber to finalize our divorce documentation. Her parents and brother never appeared at the appointment. Following all the chaos that had unfolded, they understood they could no longer rely upon me for unending financial support. Not a single pleading phone call reached my line to beg for leniency. The divorce agreement lay flat across the conference table. The dividing lines for asset allocation were crisp and non-negotiable. My corporation and all intellectual property I independently created remained entirely under my sole ownership. I chose not to demand repayment for all mortgage installments and medical invoices I had covered for her family throughout our marriage. I wished to sever all lingering ties completely, without squandering further energy haggling over past debts. Emily read the full agreement slowly and carefully. Her pen hovered hesitantly above the signature line for a fleeting moment. No volume of apologies can erase the pain I have inflicted upon you. I grew accustomed to endless handouts, treating every compromise you extended as something I was owed. This bitter outcome is the direct consequence of my own choices. We once shared moments of genuine warmth and happiness, I said softly, yet any lasting partnership must be rooted in mutual respect. I am willing to offer support to the person I love, yet I refuse to spend my entire existence serving as a disposable stepping stone for others' advancement. Your words hold unassailable truth. She inscribed her legal signature upon the document and slid the agreement back toward my side of the table. Our 6-year marriage drew to its formal conclusion. There were no screaming, tearful confrontations, no seething, irreconcilable hatred between us. We parted with quiet dignity. Our paths would never cross again, and reconciliation remained utterly out of the question. Immediately after the divorce paperwork was fully executed, the military opened a new round of public bidding for the logistics project contract. All the corrupted project work tampered with by Mason was reset back to its original starting point. I submitted Habigate Technologies' complete, fully original technical proposal. After multiple rigorous rounds of evaluation and review, my corporation was awarded the official military cooperation contract. This time around, every technical innovation and research achievement belonged exclusively to my company and to me alone. I would never surrender my creative labors freely to benefit ungrateful others ever again. Several weeks later, I stepped through an airport terminal once more. My flight's destination was Maui. Unchanged, I clutched a first-class boarding pass within my palm. The seat number matched the exact ticket Emily had attempted to give to Mason that fateful day. The ground agent verified my identification and smiled warmly, guiding me toward the boarding corridor. I traversed the waiting hall and stepped onto the jet bridge. I sank back into the spacious, comfortable first-class seat and fastened my safety belt securely. The aircraft taxied along the runway and lifted off into the sky. Layers of soft, billowing white clouds stretched endlessly beneath the cabin window. The humiliating confrontation at the boarding gate, the burning anger of stolen proprietary technology, 6 years of quiet sacrifice cast aside without gratitude, all these memories drifted gently through my mind. None stirred intense emotional turbulence within me any longer. I had left a fractured, unbalanced marriage far behind me. I had reclaimed my proprietary technology and the autonomy of my business. Most vital of all, I had recovered my long-forfeited self-respect. I finally grasped an unshakable truth. Love does not demand the limitless sacrifice of one's entire identity. If you empty every part of yourself to elevate those around you, you shall never receive gratitude in return. You shall only teach them to take endlessly, without a shred of appreciation. Every enduring, healthy romantic bond must be built upon equal mutual reverence between two people. The aircraft sailed steadily forward, bound for the boundless blue ocean stretching across the distant horizon. This journey, this first-class seat, every single fragment of it belonged solely to me, and me alone.